The Dave Smith Show continues on SB Nation Radio
and on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Dave Smith.
Titans win again. They'll be in the AFC Championship game next week. Who would have thought that? When they sat down Marcus Mariota, the number 2 pick in the draft a few years ago, and turned to Ryan Tannehill. Well, you know, now with Derrick Henry and company, they're playing the Chiefs-Texans winner next week, with the Chiefs-Texans winner being at home. But I don't think that's going to bother the Titans too much. You know what they say, a running game and defense travels, and they have both of those. And my San Francisco 49ers, with an easy win over the Vikings today, will be hosting either the Seahawks or the Packers next week to get to the Super Bowl in the NFC Championship game. It's Dave Smith and the Dave Smith Show here at SB Nation Radio and SBNationRadio.com. 800-224-2004. Hit me up on Twitter at Dave Sports Guy. Always love talking about my favorite sport, boxing. We got a big heavyweight championship fight coming up on February 22nd in Las Vegas. We got a big mess in the welterweight division right now, trying to get these guys to fight each other. What's Canelo going to do next? So let's turn to the expert here from the Los Angeles Times and from BoxingScene.com. Of course, it's Manuk Akopian. What's up, Manuk?
Dave, thanks a lot for inviting me. It's like following a Michael Jackson concert with this Ryan Tannehill win. Thanks for giving me that honor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it is. Well, first of all, this is an interesting matchup, the rematch. I had Tyson Fury winning 115-111 in the first fight, 9 rounds to 3, minus the 2 knockdowns, taking 2 points away. I thought he outboxed him start to finish, and despite the knockdown, should have gotten the decision. So how did you have that one scored, and how do you see the rematch going here? Who has the advantage? Tyson Fury, who has felt Deontay Wilder's power and survived it, or Wilder maybe having him figured out this time?
You know, Dave, you nailed it right on the head. There isn't too many people that can outright say Deontay Wilder won that fight. He had 2 spectacular knockdowns in the 9th and 12th rounds, but that's literally all he did, and he's becoming a feast or famine fighter, where he has this equalizer, he has that one-hitter quitter, and he's just relying on that, and we've been seeing it time and time again. And Fury outboxed him in that first fight. I made sure to check CompuBox. 84 punches to 71. He outlanded him. He even outlanded him in the power department. So he outboxed Tyson. He outboxed Deontay Wilder, but at the end of the day, he got laid on his back twice, and it was enough for the judges to score this a draw. And hey, at the end of the day, we as fans, we as the boxing media and public, we're the ones who benefit because we get to see it again. It was a great fight.
Who do you like in the rematch?
I like Wilder. I like Wilder, even though Vegas likes Tyson Fury. Fury is actually the slight favorite for this fight, but nothing beats Deontay Wilder's one-punch power. I was in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand in November. He's losing every second of every round to Luis Ortiz, and then boom, good night. Fight's over. See you later. And you know, it's different because I think Deontay Wilder has helped put the heavyweight division back on the map more than probably everyone else in the division because of that stay on the edge of your seat moments that the fight can be over at any second. With Brazil, first round, or with Ortiz, a come-from-behind victory. So he's a fascinating fighter right now in the division.
You know, and I know, no doubt, he has dynamite in that right hand, and he gets most people out of there. Although, you know, the caliber of competition these days isn't anywhere near what it used to be. And I know Kevin Iole and I think Dan Rayfield were saying he's the hardest-hitting heavyweight of all time. I'm not ready to go that far yet. When you think of George Foreman and Sonny Liston and Ernie Shavers and Mike Tyson, I think with the level of competition he's fought, we just can't say that yet.
You know, it's funny you talk about the level of competition because both of these guys took 2 fights apiece, and it's obvious Wilder took the harder route by taking Brazil and Ortiz. He had a lot more to lose, and yeah, you know, you have a Tyson Fury going after guys like Otto Wallin and Tom Schwartz and building his U.S. profile, and I think it's, you know, Wilder has every reason to be the A-side in this fight, but when you talk about that power, you know, I have to agree with my colleagues in Dan Rayfield and Kevin Iole because we haven't seen it. Tyson, he put combinations together. He hits you with the uppercut, the body, the hook. Deontay Wilder is that one punch that just does you in. 41 wins, 40 by knockout. It's simply incredible right now what we're seeing.
Manuka Kopian joining us here from the LA Times and Boxing Scene with Dave Smith at SB Nation Radio and SBNationRadio.com. All right. Love the lighter weight classes. Fascinating stuff going on in the welterweight division. On the one side, you have Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia and Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence and the rest over there on the PBC side, and Sean Porter. Then you've got Bud Crawford over there on the other side fighting for ESPN and Top Rank. Is Al Heyman, and I know Bud and Errol Spence have been calling each other out here, but is Al Heyman just going to freeze Bud out and just have his own guys fight each other and make all the money here? Or maybe try to do a squeeze play and say, Bud, come over to this side if you want to fight these guys?
You know, Dave, I'm going to answer your question by following up on our previous discussion in Fury and Wilder. Fury and Wilder is groundbreaking in the sense that Al Heyman and Bob Arum are talking every day. I talked to Bob Arum last month, and he told me his relationship with Al Heyman is as good as it's ever been. And he said, expect in 2020 for us to be working together to make good fights.
Good.
I don't know if you saw that one story I wrote in Boxing Scene, but Bob Arum told me as soon as Errol Spence is ready for that big-time fight, if he doesn't need a quick tune-up after that serious car accident, he said they can make the fight in 1 hour with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, because they're going to work with the same framework that they had with Fury and Wilder. So it's good. This Fury and Wilder fight is going to be groundbreaking to make the Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fight a reality. And I think it's going to happen. And the fact that Terrence Crawford's been, exercising those Twitter fingers is only going to make it much more of a reality. It's going to happen.
I like Spence in that fight, up before the car accident. I thought he's more of a natural middleweight. He is a huge welterweight. I just thought he'd be a little too strong for Bud and win a decision there, but now who knows? Who knows about the effects of that horrible car accident where he flipped his Ferrari 3 or 4 times, and it's just, he's a living, walking, breathing miracle that he's still alive after we saw the video of that. But and he was interviewed recently and said he's okay and he's going to be fighting in May, but I don't know. Does anybody know about the effects and how hurt he really was out of that?
It was a secret pretty much for the last few months because Spence was sequestered in his own camp. Obviously, he's dealing with a DWI situation, so he didn't want to get too much. He didn't want to be in the public too much. The fact that he was on camera for the Harrison Charlo fight, and he came out and had that interview, and he declared himself ready for 2020. It's hard not to believe that this guy is ready for a championship fight, and he should count his blessings and thank whatever faith he believes in for being alive today and ready to resume his career if he's considering the likes of Bud Crawford. Now, again, the big picture in this welterweight division right now is actually Danny Garcia, because he was supposed to fight Errol Spence and Garcia were supposed to fight January 25 before the accident took place. So now everyone is waiting for Garcia to easily get past Ivan Redkach, which he should, in order for the likes of Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence to know what's next. It's the trajectory is looking easy from that perspective. Garcia is either going to fight Spence or Pacquiao next. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Interesting about Canelo's future plans here. He could stay at 75 and fight one of those tough Russian guys, but they're relative unknowns, and that's a very difficult fight. I don't know if that's really a smart fight to fight either one of those guys, since nobody knows who they are. Maybe Andre Ward comes out of retirement at 68. He says he's not going to do it, but who knows? That'd be an excellent fight. Triple G again at 60 or 68. I don't know. What do you think Canelo's going to do?
Canelo is boxing's business broker right now. He is what Floyd Mayweather was in the past. He's the one who calls the shots. If there's an A side, B side, Canelo's the A++ side. He picks and chooses what he wants, and the fact that DAZN is willing to work with him in paying the opponents the proper amount of compensation, Matchroom and DAZN are tied at the hip. So the fact that Billy Joe Saunders is a Matchroom promoted fighter, it makes sense. It's not going to be stylistically a pleasing fight because I was at Billy Joe Saunders' fight in the Staples Center in Los Angeles for his U.S. debut. Fans were booing, and he was actually down on one judge's scorecards in the 11th round before he scored the knockout against an unheralded Argentinian fighter. And I think what Canelo wants to do is, he kind of cherry-picked that secondary title from Rocky Fielding at super middleweight, and this is a chance for him to really solidify himself in the division, beat a fighter of Saunders' caliber, who's a big draw in Europe, and it would be interesting to see if this might be Canelo Alvarez's big fight in overseas. It makes total sense because Canelo and Saunders is not going to sell at MGM Grand. I can tell you that now.
They'll put it in London, and it would. But, Billy Joe Saunders looked fantastic when he fought David Lemieux, that hard-hitting, the knockout artist from Canada. He boxed his ears off, and he looked fantastic, a southpaw, in and out, and gave him a boxing lesson over 12 rounds. But then he tested positive for PEDs after the fight, and now he doesn't look quite the same now that he's being drug tested. So I thought originally, after he beat Lemieux, I said he could give Canelo a real headache with his boxing skill, but maybe not anymore.
Saunders is a slick southpaw, but at the end of the day, Canelo is at the stage of his career where he needs to be fighting and taking the trajectory that Floyd Mayweather did. Is you need a viable dance partner that is going to help build your brand even better. And Mayweather was put on a masterclass with that when he fought the fighters at a time that he did. And, it's interesting now where we're going to have to see whether or not Canelo, if he's going to play matchmaker, because he's definitely calling the shots. It's clear as day that he's running the show and not the other way around with De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions. Is Saunders a viable dance partner? Is that something you're going to set aside your Saturday night for? I highly doubt it.
I've been saying for the last couple of years, I think we're going to see a Mayweather-Pacquiao too. I don't think Freddie would put Pacquiao in there with Bud Crawford or Errol Spence. I don't think that's a smart fight for Manny. I think we're going to see he and Mayweather again because I think they can make more money fighting each other than anybody else.
It's something where I still wake up and pinch myself sometimes every morning that fight took place, because for the longest time it was the kind of fight combat sports fans were clamoring for, and it finally happened, although a few years too late. And you know what? If they fight again, I will host another great watch party, invite all my family and friends, because generational fighters of their caliber do not come around every so often, and you have to respect greatness. And even if they're over the hill or over 40, it's still better than 90% of the fights we see today. And at the end of the day, you're going to have a great event. Everyone knocks Mayweather-McGregor for being a farce, and everyone knows who's going to win. But it was a great event. Everyone still talks about it today. Everyone can tell you where they were. And we need more big events in boxing because it's only going to help grow the sport.
Yeah, and how about, everybody ridicules, Logan Paul and his brother and these YouTube stars, guys who can't fight, getting in there. But they're fighting main events. They're doing big pay-per-views. They're selling box office. They're selling tickets. They're probably bringing in a whole bunch of eyeballs who've never been to a fight before and might be fans now. So I say, what the hell? Why not? It's good for boxing.
Dave, you make a great point, because I have a 10-year-old nephew. His name is Vartan. God bless him. He's a big sports fan. And sometimes he tells me, "Hey, Uncle, who did you interview today?" And I tell him, "Hey, Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury." He's like, "Who?" But I told him I interviewed Logan Paul and Jake Paul, and he was over the moon.
Yep.
He wanted to see pictures. He wanted to see video, because it resonates with a different audience, and we have to be open to that because it's great for the growth of the sport. Boxing is a niche sport, and if we're not going to reach out to the millennial and Gen Y audience and Gen X, there's no way it's going to grow in a younger generation, and there's going to come a point where, like newspapers, it's going to become grandfather's pastime and not passed on to the next generation.
Good stuff, Manuk. We got to have you on again soon to talk some boxing. Enjoyed this.
Absolutely, Dave. I appreciate it, too, and keep swinging the good praise on the sweet science on Twitter.
Absolutely. All right, Manuk. There he goes. Manuk Akopia from the LA Times and Boxing Scene and BoxingScene.com with Dave Smith here at SB Nation Radio and SBNationRadio.com.